Okay, good afternoon to you all. So today we are going to start foreign exchange risk management, right, under Inclusion Financial Management. So this topic, I'm going to continue in 2 sessions. You will be having 2 lectures on this topic. So under this topic, basically what we are going to discuss, what are the impact of foreign exchange to an organization, and what are the type of exposures, right? What are the type of exposures for an organization, and how we can manage foreign exchange risk. So those are the basic, that means 3 main topics that we are going to discuss in these 2 sessions. If we move forward, now you can see in this slide, exchange rate exposure. What do you mean by exposure? Now here I have given a definition. Exposure refers to the degree to which a multinational company is affected by exchange rate changes. It means when exchange rate is fluctuating. Now last week when we are discussing the balance of payments, we have discussed how exchange rate is fluctuating and what are the impacts to the balance of payments, right, of the changes in the exchange rate. Now here from these 2 sessions we are going to you will be understanding the impact of exchange rate fluctuations for an organization, for a especially multinational company. MNC means multinational company. Foreign exchange exposure is the risk associated with activities that involve a global firm in currencies other than its home currency. When, so can you give me an example for a transaction or activity that MNC is dealing with foreign currency? Any example? Yeah, imports, right? Importing raw materials. So if they are engaged in exporting, or if they have a foreign subsidiary, so they need to, that means if subsidiaries remit some amount, maybe profit portion or any other sort of income to the parent company, then it is a foreign, that means a transaction which is involved in the foreign currency. Okay, likewise, there can be thousands of transactions for a company, multinational company, which deals with the foreign exchange rate, and those transactions are under a risk or exposed to risk, which is basically due to fluctuations of the exchange rate. Now, sometimes exchange rate movements may negatively impact to the company. So, if we call it as impact, impact can be in 2 ways. It may be a positive or negative, right? So, we are considering more if exchange rate movements may negatively impact to the company. Can you give me an example for this kind of scenario? How exchange rate is negatively impact for an organization, multinational company? Now you know what is the meaning of currency depreciation, currency appreciation. Can you think any example? Assume a company is having a subsidiary in Sri Lanka, right? That foreign that means that company is dealing with Sri Lankan rupees. So sometimes that subsidiary may remit some income to the parent company. Okay, that means we are depositing, or we are depositing some rupee amount to the bank, and that parent company will withdraw that in dollars. Okay, now in that case, you know, if the rupee depreciation, if current rupee is depreciating, means it's good for the it means a dollar appreciation. So if exchange rate to rupee and dollar is increasing, means rupee depreciation and dollar appreciation. In that kind of situation may be good for the parent company, right? Parent company. But if currency is appreciating, rupee is appreciated, means it may have a negative impact to the parent company. Likewise, there can be impact, negative or positive impact to the parent company, especially, right? If you have many foreign subsidiaries, right, foreign branches, so their remittance, right? If they remit their income as source of as a way of dividends or interest or whatever, right, any form of income, so those things maybe have a negative or positive impact, right? Not only for the income, if you think about the cost. So the cost also, that part also can be have a negative or positive impact due to this due to this exchange rate fluctuation. Therefore, companies should assess and manage their exchange rate exposure. Okay, so if we go to annual report of a company, right? Forget about MNC, multinational company. If you go to any listed company, right, especially or a bank, or right, if you will be able to identify how those companies have managed their exchange rate risk. If we go to the risk management part of the annual report, you will be able to understand, identify what are the types of risk that organization is facing, right? That means the exchange rate risk is having a more important among those type of risk, right? So by looking at the annual report, you will be able to understand how they have mitigated, what are the mitigating strategies, what are the techniques they have used, whether they have entered into a forward contracts, right? Likewise, you will be able to understand what are the techniques they have used. Now look at this graph. Now you can see now here I have taken this data for 7th December 2016, right? Hopefully now you may know that exchange rate, especially rupee to dollar, have reached the highest amount, right? Now here you can see it is now it has reached to 150, which is the highest amount, highest value, right, in the history. Now you can see from this diagram now. That means how exchange rate has fluctuated. Okay, how exchange rate has fluctuated. This is for you can see a 365-day history for a year, right? That means 2015 December 12th to 2016 December 6th. Now you can see we have reached the highest amount. We have reached 150. So if you have any dollar notes with you, if you identify the trend, okay, now if you see that the exchange rate is increasing, you will keep that dollar notes with you, okay, until it increase more. Then because you can collect, you can have more rupees, right? Okay. Now if you look at, you can see in 2015 December it was around 142, right? If you look at this point, around 142. Now you can see it has reached 149, nearly 150. So now you can see what type of changes, right? And if we look at this diagram, you can see highly fluctuated, no? Highly fluctuated, increase, decrease, dramatic increase, again dramatic decrease, dramatically decrease. Likewise, you can identify within this 1 year, within this 365 days, how exchange rate has fluctuated. Okay, so if you are dealing with, if you have foreign transactions, you can identify what type of impact for your organization, because this 365-day means your reporting period for a 1 year, right? For the period of 1 year, you can identify how exchange rate has changed. Okay, from that you can assess, you can identify what type of risk that you are facing. Okay, therefore this exchange rate risk you have to concern carefully, you have to monitor, you have to identify the trends, you need to analyze data, right? Therefore you have to observe this trend very carefully. If we move to the next slide. Okay, now look at this. Now this is for just 5 days. Okay, 8 December 765 for 3 weekends, and second, right, again weekday. Okay, now you can see in this table I have mentioned 2 rates, buying rate and selling rate. If you go to the central bank annual report and if you search for exchange rates, you will get this table. Okay, not this table, this is only for dollar, right, exchange rate related to dollar, and for other currencies as well. What are the buying rate of pound, what is the selling rate of a pound. Likewise, they have mentioned buying rate and selling rate of several different currencies. Okay, what do you mean by these 2 rates, buying rate and selling rate? Do you have any idea? Right, those who have joined online, okay, you can join with the lecture. If you have any questions, you can send a message. Hope you are listening to the lecture, right? Okay, right. Buying rate and selling rate. Yes. Okay. Right. Now, simply, there are that means 2 types, right? Sometimes we need dollars to our hand, or sometimes we need rupees instead of dollars. Okay, now imagine you are going for a tour, foreign tour. In that case, you like to have some dollars with you, right? Because in that case, you will give rupees to the bank, let's say, right? Bank, and you can get dollar notes to your hand. So after the tour, now you don't need the dollar notes, you need rupees. In that case, you will go to the bank and give your dollar notes, and then bank will give rupees instead of that dollars. So which part is buying part and which part is the selling part? Okay, first phase is buying part. Yes, I think we are getting an answer online. We'll see what Vithanage is trying to say. Okay, I think which part is the buying part? Okay, if you want to buy dollars, then selling rate applies. Okay, if you want to buy dollars. Yes. Okay. So I think that is agree with your answer. Okay. So right, that means if rupees and buy dollars, right? Or you can give dollars and take rupees. Okay, so for those two types of transaction, this buying rate and selling rate applies, right? Okay, so if I explain that more, right? If I move to the next slide, okay, I have keep a blank slide. Hope my handwriting is clear for you. Now, if we say bank, right, and person A. Okay. Now, this person will give rupees to the bank, and bank will give dollar, equivalent amount of dollars to person A. Okay. Now, in this case, bank will sell dollars. Okay. Okay, can you hear? That means I got a message that you can't hear. Those who have, yeah, those who have joined online, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, Bandara, others can hear. You just check your settings in your computer. Right, I got the message from other students who have joined online, they can hear me. Bandara, please check your settings. Okay, if we move forward, now in this case, bank is selling, right? Therefore, yeah, selling rate is applied for this one. Okay, now the opposite way. So, bank and person A will give, so let's say after the tour, right, A will give dollars to the bank and bank will give rupees. Now this is the situation where bank is buying dollars, right, buying dollars. Therefore buying rate will apply. Buying rate will apply. Okay. Now have you observed, is there any difference between selling rate and buying rate? Shall I move to the slide number? Yeah, this slide. Look at this table. Can you identify any difference? Yeah, selling rate is high and buying rate is low. Okay. What does it mean? What is the mean of that? That is we call that part as spread, right? Or actually the simple profit of the bank, right, of doing this business. Okay. Now, okay, if I say like this, okay, bank will buy at 146 and bank will sell at 150. Now in this case, bank profit is 4 rupees. Okay, so that is the profit, or that is the spread. That spread means the difference between a buying rate and the selling rate, which is offered by a foreign exchange supply, right? Now this is the profit of the bank. Okay, because involving foreign exchange transaction is a additional operation for an bank. Okay, so that is also a business. They are doing a business. Okay, without earning a profit, no any profit oriented organization will engage in any activity. Okay, so bank will buy at 146 rupees and they will sell that at 150. Okay, 150. Now imagine earlier one person has given some dollars, right? Then bank has changed to 146 per dollar. Now that collected dollars will sell to you at 150. Okay, they are rotating. They are using same amount of dollars buying and selling. So that is the this difference is we call that as spread, and that is the profit of the bank, right? Okay. Right. Now, if we move to the next slide, slide number 8, impact of exchange rate fluctuations. What are the impact of exchange rate fluctuations for an organization, especially for MNC? Now, first one here I have mentioned cash flows. Cash flows. Now, if we think about cash flows, we can identify two types of cash flows. What are the basic classification? If you think about cash flows, it may be inflows and outflows. Right? Inflows and outflows. Okay. Now, as example, if we say inflows, any income. Outflows are the expenses, so we'll say cost. Right? Now, earlier also I have explained this, your income, right? If subsidiary remit you some or a portion of income, or if you are receiving any dividend income or any interest income from a foreign country, so you can see these inflows will be affected. Okay, so if your business is importing raw materials and you are doing some changes here, and you may export, right? As example, okay, you may, sorry. I think, okay, if I explain, if you import raw materials, okay, in that case you can identify the exchange rate will have an impact for your import cost or raw material cost. Okay, and you may doing the production process in Sri Lanka, and you export that product to a foreign country again. Okay, now the problem is sometimes due to exchange rate fluctuations, your import cost may increase. Okay, that means raw material cost may increase. Okay, if there is an increase in cost, what you should do if you want to retain the same profit margin? Imagine you want to retain the same profit margin. So what you should do if there is an increase in cost and you want to have the same profit? Here I put like this, then that means no change, right? Fixed, same profit. how you can achieve this one? You need to increase the selling price, right? You want to increase the selling price. If there is an increase in cost, you need to increase the selling price. Okay, now here P means profit, let's say like this. Okay, increase in the selling price of your exports. So what is the impact for the organization? What is the impact for the organization if you are going to increase the selling price? Just competitiveness of your product in the global market. So that can have a negative impact, right? Because you know when price is increasing, if you can remember the basic theories relating to which we called as demand theory, law of demand. There is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. If there is an increase in increase in the price, so there will be a less demand, right? Or demand will be reduced for your product, which we called as competitiveness of your product in the global market. With an increase in the selling price, competitiveness of your product may reduce, which will end up with a less demand, and that will have, if you are having a less demand, means your revenue. How to find revenue? P into Q, right? Revenue. Price into quantity. Quantity sold. But the problem is with the selling price, this can be reduced, which will ultimately result reduction in revenue, right? If you increase this one, selling price. Okay. Therefore, you can identify the impact for cash inflows. Outflows, your cost. It may be your raw material cost. It may be your wage cost. If you are paying salaries for that means if you are remit some amount for the foreign subsidiary to pay wages of that particular company's employees, right? To meet some other expenses of the foreign subsidiary, you may remit some amount, some cash. Parent company will give some what you call working capital to the subsidiary. Okay, so those type of things will have a negative impact. Therefore, you can identify the exchange rate fluctuation are having impact to your cash flows, your cash inflows and cash outflows. Okay, why cash flows are important? Why we are talking about cash flows? So you will be understanding this when we are coming to the let's say maybe 11th slide, right? Okay, why we talk about cash flows. Now hope you are clear with the cash flows. Then assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities. Is there an impact to assets and liabilities? How we can say like how? What may be the impact? Okay. Now assume let's say loan. Okay. Now assume there is a loan. So this loan, if you lend this one, if your company has lend, then this is an asset for your organization, right? That means if you have lend, if you have borrow this one, yes, then it is a liability. Okay, right. Now assume our let's say value is $1,000. Okay, the value is $1,000. Okay, now we'll have two exchange rates. Exchange rates, let's say 100, and it has increased to 120. Now what has happened here to the exchange rate? What has happened? Exchange rate has increased. It means, yeah, currency depreciation. Okay, currency depreciation. Now you can see the value of this asset is now yeah, 100,000, no? Yeah, 100,000. So if exchange rate has increased, 120,000. Now you can see value of the asset has increased. Okay. Now why this value has increased? Have we given any extra loan? No, same loan, but due to the exchange rate. Now you can see this loan is this loan, that means this $1,000 loan, right, which you have lent to another party, it is now worth 120 rupees. 120 rupees. If you think about the asset, liability side, okay, earlier you have to pay, imagine you want to settle this one, you had to pay only 100,000 rupees, but if you want to settle now, you need to pay 120,000 rupees. Okay, that means it's like we have created an additional, or we have taken an additional 20,000 loan. We haven't taken any additional 20,000 loan. So this 20,000 is due to the exchange rate fluctuations. Now you can see how exchange rate fluctuations have impact to assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities. So this may have a positive impact or negative impact. Whatever the impact, you need to closely monitor. Okay. So you from this slide you can understand how this impact to assets and liabilities of an MNC. Right. Okay. Competitiveness. What do you mean by competitiveness? Okay, now this is maybe relating to your product. Or competitiveness of your firm. Right? Now, as example, right, as I explained, you are dealing with exports. Okay. With the currency depreciation, what will happen? Imagine you are exporting. Imagine you are exporting. Okay, now forget about that imports of raw materials or those things, right? Now your business is exporting goods for a foreign country. Now with the currency depreciation, what will happen to your product? What is the impact on competitiveness of your product? Now imagine your product is $1. Okay, so I'm not going to change the exchange rate which I have used, 100 and 120. That is for the sake of simplicity, right? Okay, then you can remember that one. Okay, now imagine exchange rate is 100. Your product price is $1. Okay, $1. That means value of 1 rupee is, I have told you, 1 divided by 100. Okay. Now if exchange rate is 120 means 1 divided by 120. Okay, value of 1 rupee is 1 divided by 120. Okay, now you can see earlier, that means now from $1 they can purchase more products. 1 and not exactly half, 1 and some another points will be coming, no? Okay, because if you give $1, now you can purchase more products. Okay, because value of rupee has decreased for the same product. Now you have to pay less dollars in other way round. Or if you give $1, now you can purchase 1 and some other portion of that product. Okay, 1 and 1.25 products, units, if we think about the units, 1 and 1.25 units. Okay, likewise. Or to buy the same product, now you have to pay less dollars. Therefore, with the currency depreciation, our exports will be cheaper in the global market. That means cheaper means there will be a good demand for this particular product. So that's how it affects into the competitiveness of your product. With the currency appreciation, the other way around. Okay, that means now to purchase one product, now you need to pay more dollars. Okay, more dollars. Or if you pay same amount of dollars, you cannot buy 1 unit, 0.75 or less than 1. So that is how the currency changes in exchange rate impact the competitiveness of your product. Okay, now here I have that means I talk about only exporting. If you are doing if you are importing raw materials, and then the story will be little bit change. Okay, now here I have deal you are exporting products, right? Competitiveness of the firm means what? Competitiveness of the firm. Yes, what do you mean by competitiveness of the firm? How investors are looking at your company? Are they willing to buy shares of your company, or they are reluctant? They are hesitate to buy shares of your company, right? If investors are willing to buy shares, or if there is a demand for your shares in the exchange market, right? Sorry, share market. Then what will happen to your share price? Share price of your company? Increase, right? Increase. It's simply demand and supply. Demand and supply theory. When there is a high demand for your company shares, then with the no change in supply, your share price will increase. Okay, right. Now the problem is how this affecting to the competitiveness of your firm. That means if exchange rate fluctuations are adversely affect to your company, right? Then risk associated with your organization is increase. Okay, that means now investing in your company is little bit risky than earlier. Okay, so if investors are accepting an additional risk, what they are expecting? If you are going to accept additional risk, you are expecting additional return, which we call as, we can say risk premium, or we can say required rate of return of investors will increase. They will say, okay, I will invest in your company, but I need 20% RRR. Okay, earlier it was around let's say 17%. With 17%, early investors were satisfied. But with the exchange rate fluctuations, if you are 100%, if you are involving foreign transactions, then that investors are no, okay, now this company is facing a risk. Therefore, we should increase our required rate of return. Okay, I will stay if you give me 20%. Otherwise, I will sell share likewise. Okay, they are demanding. Okay, now if exchange rate is fluctuating, right, increasing or decreasing, let's say fluctuating, then it will create, okay, I'm sorry about my handwriting, right? It will create or it will increase risk, or risk of the firm will increase. Then investors will ask high required rate of return. RRR means, I believe now you are familiar with these terms, required rate of return. RRR, required rate of return. What investors are expecting, what they need. Okay, that way now we need to pay. We have to pay high return to the investors. Okay, high return to the investors. So this is how exchange rate is affecting to the competitiveness of your organization. It may be the competitiveness of your product or competitiveness of your firm. Okay, competitiveness of your firm. Okay, and okay, I got a message. Bandara, still can't you hear me? Yes, I believe others can hear me. Vithanage, can you hear me? Yes. Bandara, please, I think it may be, you better check your settings of the computer because others can hear. Others can hear me. Right. Okay, now are you clear with this competitiveness? Competitiveness of the organization. How exchange rate affected to the competitiveness of the organization. Right. Now this is the most important part. Value of the firm. Okay. Value of the firm. Now, how we derive the value of the firm? Have you calculated value of the firm? Have you calculated NPV? Okay, so what is the mean of NPV? Don't say net present value, I know that. Okay, net present value, how you derive net present value? It's the difference between initial investment, right, initial outflow, and the present value of future cash flows. Present value of future cash flows, right? If you are ended up with the positive figure, then you are saying this project is having a positive NPV, therefore we are going to accept. If the NPV is negative, you are going to reject that one. You have done those things. Okay. So positive NPV means that project will increase the value of the product of your firm. So that is the value of the investment. Okay. Therefore, to calculate value of a share or value of the firm, you need cash flows. you need cash flows. Can you remember how we calculate the value of the firm? Okay, hope you can remember, but I just write the equation, right? Value of the firm, let's say cash flows of year 1, right? 1 plus R. What do you mean by R? This is R. R mean you can say discount rate, right? It may be the interest rate, it may be the required rate of return, right? Okay, then assume this project is for 3 years. Cash flows of year 2, 1 plus 1 plus 3. Right? So this is the value of your firm. Okay, clear? Okay, now here one, or you can say like this, if you are 1 divided by 1 plus R. It's like this. Okay. Okay. Now this is how you can calculate or you can derive the value of the firm. Now, if there is any change in cash flows, what will happen? Cash flows. If there is, now you can see if there is any if there are any changes in the cash flows, value of the firm will change. Okay, if cash flows have increased, then value of the firm will increase. Okay, now but the problem is the cash flows can be affected due to exchange rate. Okay, so this is obvious. When cash flows are changing, value of the firm is changing, but cash flows can be changed due to exchange rate fluctuations, right? Because we have learned that. It may be in your 8th slide. Cash flows. How cash flows can be affected due to exchange rate. Okay. Therefore, what is the flow? Due to exchange rate fluctuations, cash flows can be changed, right? That means this part. Okay, this part, cash flows can be changed. And again, is there an impact on R? Yes, that is required rate of return. Okay. Apart from that, sometimes required rate of return also can be changed. Okay. That is due to the competitiveness of your firm. Right? Cash flows and competitiveness of your firm. Your required rate of return of this particular product can be increased. Okay. Therefore, you can see for the value of the firm, exchange rate is having a very high, that means exchange rate is having a very big impact to the value of the firm. Okay. Now this impact will be there if you are dealing with exchange rate only. Otherwise, no, right? Now, are you clear with this one? How value of the firm can be affecting to the can be affected by the exchange rate fluctuations? First, impact is impact to the cash flows, inflows, outflows. Next one, competitiveness of your firm. that is from the required rate of return. Okay, required rate of return. Okay. Right. Now look at this one. Impact of exchange rate fluctuations. I have given two scenarios just to elaborate how this yes, Vithanage, what is your problem? R means I got I can see okay, Bandar, I think you have still you have the problem. I can see the lecture but I can't hear. Okay, but I'll convey your message to the technical coordinator anyway. Vithanage, R means required rate of return. I think your question is that. Okay, R means required rate of return. Okay. Okay, now look at this given two scenarios. Now this is an exercise for you, right? Those who are online, you also can, so don't go to the next slide because answer is there. Okay. So don't look at the answer, be genuine. Okay, now scenario 1, can't hear. Okay, can you hear me now? Right. Right. If you look at the given two scenarios, no, they can't hear me. Okay, give me a few minutes, right? Okay, now can you check this given two scenarios? Hope you can hear me now. Given two scenarios, can you hear me now? Okay, no, I think they can't hear me. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, can you look at this given two scenarios? Vithanage, can you hear me? Right. What is the scenario 1 is about? Not yet. Not yet.